Welcome back to another episode of the Captain's Lounge. I am the captain, and I am here with my friend, my colleague, Mr. Ernie, Blerd Without Fear. How you doing, my friend?
Oh man, I'm good. I'm good. I'm really good. I'm refreshed, fed, watered, all that shit. I'm good. What's wrong?
Hey, man. Shout out Screwface Capone, man. Appreciate you pulling up. He says, "Oh, I thought the title was gonna be on some C good shit, but I saw who was hosting. Saw who was hosting. And I had to pull up. Appreciate that, big dog. Appreciate that, man. It's gonna be a good one today. This is a topic that I feel like I've been very passionate about over like the last couple months. Because I've been seeing just again what people believe the common rhetoric is around this stuff. So I wanted to do more research, formulate my own thoughts, and then also bring in a professional, a consummate professional, to give his thoughts. He said, "Man, should say less." But first and foremost, I got some shit to get off my chest, man.
Oh, handy business. Handy business.
I have been seeing some very disturbing behavior on Beyonce's internet, and it's really irked my soul. If I see any more AI shenanigans online, I'm going to lose my shit. First and foremost, YouTube. I swear to God, whenever I watch YouTube, because I either watch you or I watch a bunch of creators to stay informed on stuff and just for entertainment. I grew up a YouTube baby. I've been seeing the most amount of like AI generated ads on YouTube I've ever seen before, like promoting a shitty dating app or some kind of supplement or whatever it may be. And I'm like, damn, everybody's using AI ads now for shit. And if that's not bad enough, we have niggas out here creating AI generated ads of like Michael Jackson and Kobe. Let these niggas rest in peace.
Everyone, boo this nigga.
These niggas are out here making AI streams of Kobe streaming 2K. Y'all got you got MLK out here in NWO fits cutting promos.
Bruh.
I'm like, bro, there's so much potentially beneficial shit we could be doing with AI, but we're doing shit like this, and it's killing me. I'm not even mad at people who are using it to like, make your own animated movies, like do some creative shit with it. But doing ignorant shit like this really bothers the fuck out of me. And I had to say something about it. I didn't post too much about it. I try not to be ignorant about it, but this shit really irks my soul. And I get the whole aspect of it being fun, but something about, especially Kobe, I think Kobe's really got me because Kobe fan, basketball fan. I saw and was a part of the way the world reacted when he passed away. So fast forwarding like 6 years or 5 years when that happened and seeing niggas use his, I don't know, that irks my soul a little bit.
Man, look, it's no secret. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of AI in any capacity. So like there's very few instances where I'm okay with AI, and none of them have anything to do with generating content. Yeah, I've seen some wild stuff. I saw people making using AI to make videos and images of like Charlie Kirk getting dapped up by Malcolm X and Dr. Martin Luther King. I'm like, look, man, stop that shit.
Why do niggas want to make him a martyr like that so bad?
I don't know, man.
I
don't know. I'm still kind of trying to figure it out. So
Jesus Christ.
But
yeah, y'all, today we're gonna have very productive and hopefully fun conversation around comic books, man. A medium that I owe a lot of love to and a lot to in regards to my development as an upstanding Black educated man, and as a storyteller and all that good stuff. And it's a format that I tend to love. I grew up loving anime, loving manga, but I always had this like real deep connection with American comic books, which may just be because of the Black characters that I saw growing up. But there is obviously a big issue within the comic book community and the industry in itself, and most of these issues have to do with the big two publishers being Marvel and DC, obviously. But Ernie, I have a list of things here to go through. Not too many things, but these are all things that I feel are contributing factors of the issue, and I'll give them out, and I'll let you give your thought process and maybe your rebuttal if you feel like I'm incorrect on these things. I love to be educated if I am incorrect.
All right.
But again, y'all in the comment section, y'all let us know too how y'all feel about this stuff as we go through it. But first and foremost, the first issue that I've noticed and I've heard a lot of people talk about is the availability. I hear a lot from a lot of my older homeboys who were again around a little bit more aged. They remember like seeing in CVS or all kinds of different stores, seeing comic books everywhere, not just in comic book stores. And that mass availability made it a lot easier for them to, feel inclined to want to pick up a comic book and read that thing, depending on what it was. And to my knowledge, I don't see comic books in too many places outside of comic book shops. Maybe you'll see them in like Barnes Noble. I think maybe I saw it in a Walmart one at one point. I remember Dollar General had a campaign for a little bit where they were just like showing some older stuff in there. But besides those, I haven't seen comic books in too many other places. How do you feel about like the availability aspect of it?
I mean, I think it's lacking. I think it's lacking. And there was a time where you would see that sort of stuff. Like I remember you could walk into like a Walgreens, you could walk to a CVS, you could walk to a Walmart, a Kroger, a Mega Mart, a Piggly Wiggly, wherever whatever grocery store chain you're familiar with. You could probably walk into one of those back in the day and pick up a comic. Now, the reason why that has changed, it has less to do with the comics industry as a whole, but more like the things that were adopted and things that are technically gone now. You can kind of slick blame a little bit of Diamond distributors for a little bit of that, but that's okay because they don't fucking exist anymore. Because they went bankrupt and now are being sued into oblivion because of how much money they owe various and sundry companies. I have it on good authority because of people I know who happen to own comic book companies. They owe some people well over $1 million. So you can go ahead and hang that L around Diamond's neck. But yeah, I do think that making them available anywhere is good for business. I think that you should be able to walk into any store. I think you should be able to walk into a fucking gas station and find comic books. I think you should be able to pick them up wherever. Now, I will say there's a little secret, and not a lot of people know this because it's not very well advertised. You can get comics in places other than comic book shops still. It's just it's a place not many people think to look. Your local library.
I've heard that so much. And I remember seeing a lot more of that growing up, but I couldn't remember if that was because this was like early or like late 2000s. I didn't know if that was still actually a thing, like libraries invested in them like that.
Yeah. So Carter, my Saturday Blerd Cave co-host, he read the entire run of Invincible via the library.
Wow.
So I mean that's a thing. So I think people I think it's one of those things people don't talk about because they don't know about it. And I am here to tell you all, anyone who is willing to listen, if for whatever reason you have difficulty finding comics in your area, or because I will say this, it is true, some places do not have LCSs or local comic shop or an LCS that is close to your area that is convenient to get to, so that's not a chore to get to. But I can also tell you that, and this is a shameless plug on my part, if not a library, there is a digital comics service called Global Comics, and they just recently added Marvel Comics to their, well, not recently. Technically, it hasn't happened yet. It will happen on October the 15th. Marvel Comics will be the latest addition to that service. They already had DC Comics, IDW, Dark Horse, Boom Studios, Image, Dynamite, pretty much every major comic book publisher. The only one they didn't have was Marvel, and now Marvel will be on there as of the 15th. And I think because DC, they're already doing this, they will be doing day and date releases. Those you will have to pay for individually, but you can also get like an unlimited subscription. And I have it under good authority. If you use the promo code GCX Blerd Without Fear, you can get your I think you can get your first subscription for like $59.99. I don't know. I heard that somewhere. I don't know. That's crazy. Yeah. It's a
That's not bad.
15. Yeah, I mean, it's like, okay, remember when you were talking to me about like, hey, have you ever heard of these books like I Was a Fashion School Serial Killer or Vinyl? That's how I read those. I read them on Global Comics. A lot, like, and they have a lot of stuff on there. Like they have, now I will say with DC Comics and probably be the same with Marvel, they will probably rotate out their libraries because their libraries are so huge. But yeah, like the Terrifics, it was on Global Comics before they took it off. It was on there for like several months. They had All-Star Superman on there. They had like, and it's like, it's not like trash comics. It's like they're literally putting creme de la creme on the app in terms of like DC, and will likely be the same for Marvel. But like Image and everybody else, you can get damn near everything. They even have they also added, I think Kodansha is on there now. So you can get, there was already manga, but now you can get like even like more big boy manga through them. So I mean, there's ways to get comics other than walking into a comic shop. That was basically my way of saying that.
Yeah, that's something I really wanted to really break down, just because I've made posts about this in the past. I put up like shorts, whatever it may be, and I did have a couple people that did kind of stun me, because I understand, because I went to school in a rural area for 4 years for undergraduate school and college, and that is something that a lot of people tell me. It's like, I'm in the middle of nowhere in the country, and I'm like miles away from the nearest city where LCS would be at. Where are my options at? And there's, as to my knowledge, I don't think I've ever been in a rural area that didn't have a library of some sort.
Yeah.
So that could, that's an option. And then to your point with the streaming stuff, but I do know some people where they like want to feel the pages, so I can understand them having that dilemma. Sure.
Also, this is this is another little addendum I'll add. This is another way, if you don't have an LCS in your area, midtowncomics.com. An actual comic book shop that ships comics all over the country, and we're talking physical comics. So you might not have them in your hands like right then and there, but like sometimes when there's stuff that I don't get from my LCS, or if I like forget about something, if I don't get it through my LCS, I'll get it through Midtown Comics.
Quick question here in the chat that's interesting. The infamous Mike Manhattan. He says, did you hear that Image Comics is giving LCS trades 27 days earlier than bookstores and digital platforms?
I didn't hear that, but that is actually kind of wild. And you know what? I'm here for it. You know, I'm actually here for it, because you want to support those local comic shops. You want to support those you want to support that platform, because that is really and truly the lifeblood. Even if you did have comics in like a CVS or a Walgreens or whatever, even if you did do that, even if that was still a thing, I would still support the idea of actual like comic book retailers, like dedicated comic book retailers, having access to those things first, because and it's kind of it's a tricky topic, but I mean, if we're really keeping it a buck, comic book shops kept the comics industry alive at a time where it couldn't sustain itself in the past. So it's good that Image is taking care of retailers on that level, giving them that benefit.
I'm really happy to hear that's the case too, because I feel as though, outside of the fact that these shops are giving them direct business monetarily, at least from my perspective, a lot of comic book shops kind of supplement something like a Boys and Girls Club. I've noticed like plenty of kids will just go there just to hang out. And there's certain comic book shops that I've been to either here in Atlanta or in other ones I've been to around Georgia, where they'll build like hangout areas for like teens or people just gonna hang out at. Like they'll have tables in there, different chairs like that, so that you can buy your book, go in here and read it and be comfortable, whatever it may be, and have it to be, which as a business makes sense too, because the longer people in there, the more likelihood you are to buy something else or buy anything, period. So it makes sense as far as that goes. But I would love to see these big publishers like a Marvel, DC, or Image, give back to the shops a little bit more in different ways, whether that be maybe directly monetarily as far as investing in them, or at bare minimum, maybe giving them discounts on certain books and things like that, giving them discounts that you won't give to any other platform or any other in media of them being sold, if possible.
Yeah, no, I think that is the way. Yeah, like my local comic shop, they the one I usually frequent anyway, They do board games. They have board game nights. They do Magic the Gathering. They sell tabletop games and all card games and stuff like that. They have tables and stuff for people to go hang out. They got spaces where people can rent out. They want to like run a D&D campaign or like have like a little hangout session or whatever, stuff like that, and have like snacks and food, drinks, whatever, stuff like that. So I mean, yeah, I think comic book shops, I think personally, are even cooler today than they were when I was a kid coming up, and I think they're trying. I think a lot of them, the good ones, especially the good ones, I think are trying really hard to try and make that a place of value. Especially in an era where we lack third places. Yeah.
How often do you get mobbed when you pull up to a comic shop?
Man, honestly, so my shop, and I think that's the reason why I go to it, is because no one really knows who I am.
Really? Okay, that's interesting. Because I've said it before, but I feel like it's legit.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Benny. But it was legit like Rob, Benny, you, or whatever that order is. Usually, obviously, Rob is like fucking, at this point, it's different stratosphere from most creators, period. But I'm like, for people not to know you, it's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy to me.
Well, so what happens is if I go to a convention, I'll get recognized, especially if I go to like our local one here. I've had people shout my name from across the parking lot. But I get recognized out and about. Like sometimes it's weird because I just people are like, man, you look so familiar. I know you from somewhere, and I'll be like, and my dumb ass, I won't even think about YouTube. I'll be thinking about like, oh, maybe we used to work together or we went to school together, but it's almost always like, oh, you know me from YouTube. But like the people who go to that shop, even if they do recognize me, I think sometimes they're not sure that it is me. So even if they do know it's me, they don't say anything. Now the people who run the shop, they know who I am,
right?
But like they don't know like the people, like the regular people that come in there. Some of them, if they know who I am, there's also a high chance they probably know not to bother me.
Yeah. Do you feel like you have like resting bitch face like really bad when you?
Yeah. No, I do. Well, what it is? It's because when I go in the shop, I don't go in like I talk to the people I know. Like the guy who runs the shop, like I've known him since I was like 15 years old. So like I talk to him, but like everybody else, and like the people behind the counter, I talk to them. But I generally, I'm the type of person, because I used to work in retail. Whenever I see like customers in the store, if I see like, oh, you need to go take care, I'm like, hey, go handle your business. I am not your business. These people are your business. I'm really respectful of that. So like a lot of the times, and when I do go in, I don't stay for very long because I've become an even bigger homebody in my old age. So like I just want to go in, man, I want to get my stuff, and I'm trying to get about. Like, I mean, I'll hang around for a minute, but I almost always have like an exit strategy. Like, I'll go, oh man, I got somebody waiting in the car, man. I'll be back next. I'll be back next.
I gotta feed the kids.
You'll see me, man. I gotta get up out, man. I don't. Yeah, if they ever say anything to me, like I know, like if I go to other comic shops in Memphis, of the 3 that I frequent, it's a varying degrees. One of them, they have no clue who I am, and I kind of like it that way. Like they'll see me buying a bunch of stuff, and they'll have questions. Like they'll be like, dude, like you're buying like a lot of omnibuses. Yeah, don't worry about it. Don't ask.
Just spending a shit to like $1,000 worth of omnibuses just like on a checkout.
I did do that once. I literally and I'll tell on them. Memphis Comics and Collectibles. I bought like literally I had 8 omnibuses on the counter, and they were like, "Oh wow, you're getting like a lot of stuff." I was like, "Yeah, it's a huge tax write off," and I just left it at that. I didn't say nothing else. They just kind of looked at me and they were like. And then like I kind of briefly explained why, but I didn't like go into like detail about who I was. Right. And the person just kind of looked at me like. So now every time I have gone in there since then, they all just kind of look at me funny. But they no longer look at me like I'm stealing. So that's a good thing. But yeah, everybody else, the other 2 shops. Yeah, exactly. The other 2 shops, they know who I am. Like if I walk in, it's like automatic. Oh, hey, it's celebrity. I'm like, oh shit. Yeah, can I just get my shit and get out?
I felt that. I feel like I'll because at this point I spend an ungodly amount of money whenever I go into that shop. It's not even. I'll get the email about like, hey, your pull list is ready, and it's like 2 books, and then I somehow leave with like 7, and I'm like, shit, it's gonna take me forever to read these, but because I'm even in general in and out of a comic shop, I'm trying to do better about promoting what I do on YouTube. Because I will legit not tell anybody, and I'll have like my friends or somebody like tell me like, hey, he does such and such, and usually it inspires one of 2 reactions, both that I kind of hate a little bit. Is like one, they think I'm bigger than what I am, so they want like, oh well, I can come on sometime. Da, da, da. I'm like, bro, I'm not what you think I am. Let's relax. We're not doing that. I'm not making you any extra money, bro. I'm trying. I don't have a following like that myself. Let's relax. Let's calm that down.
I have people sometimes that it actually happens with me too. Oddly enough, I have a friend who will like brag on me sometimes when I come in their store. Not a comic shop, but it's like just a clothing shop. And they'll be like, "Oh man, he has like millions of subscribers." I'll be like, "Actually, no." That's real sweet of you. I was like, that's so sweet of you to say, but I was like, no, that's not the case. But I mean, you know what? I suffer a similar affliction. I don't really do a good job of promoting myself when I'm out and about. Because I mean, honestly, I just think I'm a regular ass dude. Yeah, I walk in the comic book shop with 2 feet and 1 foot in front of the other and a nerd shirt on, just like everybody else. So even at a certain point, I feel like I would get really complacent. I've got like once I'm doing content full time and it's like paying my bills and I can survive off of it. It's like, how much bigger do I need to get? Like I'm already like, I'm having fun talking about fucking comic books and it's paying my bills. I don't really need to go like above and beyond with that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of chilling. The second reaction is people wanting to debate me on stuff, and I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this because I'm not gonna. Because they'll try to like test you. They'll be like, oh, do you know about this character or this thing? And either I do 100% or I've never heard of it before in my life. And it's either, oh, how are you doing the content without knowing about this thing? I'm like, bro, I grew up reading comics and I'm reading a lot more now, but I can't follow and know everything about everything to do with comic books as a whole. It's a whole thing. You know, I shut that shit down. I always tell them, and I'm the master of the not so humble flex. I usually be like, do I read so many comics? I've read so many comics. Matter of fact, I've read comics you haven't even read yet. Matter of fact, I've read comics that you can't read yet. You want to know why? Because they're not out yet.
Damn.
And you know what? I've read so many of them, I don't even know what I can tell you. I don't know. When did JSA number 10 come out? I don't know. Shit. I read it, but I mean it's been a minute. Oh, but you a broke bitch, so yeah, you gotta wait till that shit come out like day and date. That's crazy. Man, yeah, it's wild. You know what I would do because for me, I'm like, look, I read, and not only outside of that, I read so many comics that like I'm like, dude, it's so cool that you read so few comics that you have the brain capacity and the space to remember bullshit. I was like, I'm too busy like adding new shit to my repertoire. You just sitting here reading, you eating the same can of Spam 365 52 weeks out of the year. That's wild, man. I wouldn't. That's wild crazy that you're admitting that like out here in the shop in front of your hookup.
This thing is a menace, y'all. We're going to talk about you sitting on somebody later on. I had to ask you about something later on, but I'll save that for after we get through the main stuff. To circle back to the topic at hand. Next thing we did availability, but next thing is prices. This is one that honestly irritates me, but I've tried to have more of an open mind about it because I feel like maybe my shop or the places I frequent are a lot more affordable than others, possibly. Because I hear people talk about how expensive it is to purchase current comics. And then I immediately go through and think back, okay, cool. When you told me about pull boxes, I had that thought process until you told me about a pull box. And I'm like, all right, cool. The ones I want, I can have reserved for me so I don't have to go and spend absorbent amounts of money on Amazon or whatever else to get that particular issue. 2, I go in my shop and I'm looking, I'm like, and shout out to Oxford Comics and Games. That's the shop I usually frequent. the way they have it set up is that if you have a pull list and you're getting multiple books, they'll give you like 10 to 15% discount on the bundle you're buying, the package you're buying anyway. And the books are already only like $5 for a single issue. So I'm leaving out of the store, or like not even $5, maybe it's like $4.50 sometimes. So I'm walking out of the door with like 6 comics, and I'm only paying $3 to $4 for them each. And again, for some people that may not be within your budget, but at the same time, you're still buying fast food and other bullshit for more money. So I'm like, if comics are something that you were passionate about and it's one of your hobbies, you can save up like $20 a month to buy whatever the new things you want to follow up. But that's me. I didn't know if my shop was unique in that aspect of how affordable books were. I don't know if like at other comic shops across the country, if they're like marketed up to like $7 or $10 a pop. I don't know. So I wanted to ask you as a consummate professional, is this a trend you've noticed?
So for me, okay, I'm an unfair person to ask because I don't want to speak out of turn, and I don't want to make it hot for anybody. I'm pretty sure because of my pull box, I'm pretty sure I get a little bit of a discount, and I think they might give me a discount too, just because of who I am.
Which makes sense.
So I'm an unfair person to ask, but I will definitely say, generally speaking, I do feel like most good shops will hook you up for like, you know, kind of fucking with them like early on, like for getting that pull box, guaranteeing that sale. And I think that is only a good thing. I think that's only a good thing because comic books are expensive. They have been expensive for quite some time. Some of you, I'm gonna show some age. So when I was first buying comics with my own money, I was what was it? We were talking like $1.50.
Damn.
$1.25 for a comic, give or take. I remember what was it? Yeah, I was buying like Amazing Spider-Man. That was like a $1.25, $1.50 an issue. And then eventually it got to where it was like, oh, it's $2.99. And I remember DC Comics had that, you know, kind of mantra for the longest time, like, oh, we draw the line at $2.99. And it was like, yeah, that shit didn't last. Shit, y'all $3.99, some of y'all $4.99 now in this motherfucker. But it's okay. I mean, it's one of those things. For a lot of reasons, I get why prices had to be raised, but my issue with prices being raised is that the people making the comics aren't getting paid more. So
yeah, where's this extra money going to? Because you're paying the artists and the creators like a flat fee to make the thing. They're not getting revenue.
And they're getting paid up front. They're getting paid up front. So,
and then I'm especially now that I'm finishing up my comic now, and I'm looking at the printer that we go to for Echelon. They're only charging like, I think like what a dollar, maybe like $2 like per book to print. That's like a 24-page book with color, and it's pretty solid quality printing. So I'm like, if they're only charging like $2 for the print, if you're selling it for like $4, I could see that being the case. Like as far as you wanted to bring back your profit, or get back the money you spent on making the book, and then some profit. I get that. But that's for me being independent. I feel like with Marvel or DC, they even have bigger discounts in regards to that stuff because they're making them in bulk. So so for people that I may have gone off the deep end on, I may be wrong. I apologize. I'm not beyond saying that I'm wrong. A lot of that was, I guess, me being privileged to be in the shops that I'm in and having, I guess, the knowledge to look at comics the way I look at them in regards to stuff. But again, if you just want to read the books, was it Global X? You said was the name of the platform?
Oh, Global Comics. But it's COMIX, not COMICS. It's COMIX. It's and yeah, there's an app. There's an app, there's a website, whichever one you choose. If you go for the unlimited subscription, that lets you read everything that's not day and date. So like any of the stuff they have on there, you just that's not like new release issues. You just go in there, read to your heart's content. Read to your heart's content for a year. And also, yeah, I want to give full disclosure. I do get a little bit of kickback off that, so just putting that out there.
Hey, man.
But
What it is.
yeah, you know, but I'm passing the savings on to you because that's just usually $89.99 a year. So, so yeah, or actually, it used to be. I think they changed that, but whatever the case is, yeah, just know, you can get a little bit of a discount. The discount may have changed. Actually, I might be completely speaking out of turn, but you get a discount. So there you go. Be happy.
Have a monthly subscription, right?
They do. I forget how much that one is. I think it's. I don't think it's much.
Got you.
It's almost comparable to like if you have like the Shonen Jump app or some shit, like or maybe. I forgot how much I paid for that.
And then one thing that, again, infamous Mike Manhattan, shout out to you. Appreciate you for showing in. He brought up the idea of the tariffs and that being a big contributing factor going forward, which I did not think about in regards to comics because in my mind, everything's domestic. But again, at some point, you had to order international for the materials to make these books. He mentioned how Todd McFarlane was being public about thinking about charging extra for Spawn, which is $2.99 for a while. So that's wild. That's wild.
That is true. This is very true. Todd McFarlane has talked about this publicly. And honestly, I didn't fault him for it. If he did raise the cost of Spawn, that's cool because I'm not buying it anyway. But I mean, but in all seriousness, I considering that he had been one of the few stewards of drawing the line at $2.99 and actually sticking to it, it was a sad thing to see.
Yeah, it's again, bro, shit's getting expensive. If eggs looking where they at and comics looking where they at, boy, it's.
I'm just saying, man. Look, y'all gonna start looking at it, man. $5 a head, man. Y'all about to start seeing it.
It's crazy.
Mark my words.
Next up would be my thoughts on the actual narrative stuff when it comes to comic books and new material. This is one that I feel like you've probably seen a lot in regards to people in the space discussing the idea that stories are being ran back, ideas are being ran back, and there's not a lot of originality within comic books. And again, this for people watching that are tuning in for the more recently, this is a bigger issue with Marvel and DC. We're going to get into some issues with like Image and some of the more indie comic companies, but a lot of the bigger issues are Marvel and DC because for keeping it buck, it's where most casual fans are keeping track of. But the idea of stories being ran back and the ideas of a lot of characters especially being ran back because we have, I don't know how many fucking Batman comics going. I've seen it's crazy because I'll be sub to you and Rob, and I'll just see like a new Spider-Man story going on every day, or like you'll post a new Spider-Man thing going on, or a new X-Men thing going on. Usually the X-Men are like one of the core original team, not the core original team, but like some of the flagship characters, like the Cyclopses, Wolverine, Storm, all those characters. And I'm just like, damn, we got a bunch of other characters in the tank that we could write for, but we just don't choose. But not now. Spider-Man has like a Guardians of the Galaxy situation going on now. I guess I don't know how that's, but we have Ultimate stuff. Okay, whatever. But your thoughts on the originality or like new stories being told, which. Yeah, we'll get into that.
So it's funny you ask me this because I was just shout out to my homie Owen of Owen Likes Comics. I actually just got off the horn with him a little bit ago. We had a 4-hour conversation about Age of Apocalypse. So go check him out if you want to go see what's up with that. And one of the things we talked about was Marvel constantly going back to the well for Age of Apocalypse. But I mean, they do it for a lot of other story arcs. It's kind of like DC. They keep constantly going back to Death in the Family, or they keep constantly going back to Crisis on Infinite Earths. They keep going back to all these other like random and sundry story arcs. It's like, man, dude, let that shit go. Like, tell something new. Now, to be fair, I can tell you what the problem is. It's kind of a two-pronged issue. It is both the publisher in their marketing department, because I don't know if you know this, but and not just the marketing department, the accounting department as well. But The accounting department and the marketing department have more of a say in what comics get made than the editors who actually like oversee the comics.
I was not aware of that actually. That's
Yes, this is
honestly
the thing. This is the thing. As a matter of fact, every bad comic book solicitation you have ever read has nothing to do with the creative team in question who wrote it. Case in point, I'll use this as an example because I don't think this will hurt anything. But when they did the whole Mary Jane is going to be
Venom. Oh, God.
when they did that whole thing, when they did the whole, hey, which one of these 4 characters is going to be the new Venom? I can tell you with absolute certainty, Mary Jane was always going to be Venom. This was not a thing that was done at the last second. This was always the assignment. She was always going to be the new Venom. But the way Marvel's marketing department handled it, they turned it into this big mystery. And I can promise you, that was not Al Ewing's doing. If it were up to him, they just would have just said it was Mary Jane from jump. And if you actually go back and read that Venom run, there's lots of telltale signs that it is actually MJ, but all the other stuff is kind of obfuscating that. But that's another story altogether. The accounting department, they dictate what books get made and what books stay. So if the book isn't making any money, there's an account. Basically, Ben Affleck is out there with the sniper rifle, and he's just sitting there, just like, all right, this book didn't. Okay, this book only sold. I don't know. I'll just pick a number out of the ether. This book sold 10,000 copies. Okay, so it's got to go. Pow! All right, done. This book over here, all right, you're safe. You sold like 40, 50,000 copies. It's a little light, but I mean, it's better than the other one. This one sold 100,000 copies, so you're good. Oh man, this one here, you sold 1,000 copies. Bow, you got to go. They dictate that stuff, and they do it based on trends, market trends, what characters are the most popular, and that's honestly a lot of the reason why you see the same characters over and over and over again, the same story arcs over and over and over again. It's an Ouroboros because on one side, it's these money people who are looking at the trends, looking at who's buying, what, and they're saying, oh, well, this is what's going to make us the most money. But at the same time, the customer is equally to blame because they keep fucking buying it. It's sad. It's sad. I know.
I want to so bad talk to people that have that issue. Because going back to the Venom stuff, right? Yeah. When that all new Venom first started, I'm reading this and I'm like, oh, this is dope. Because it was Luke Cage was a possibility. It was it Rick Jones? I think was another one.
Yep, Robbie Robertson and Madam Mask.
I thought Perry, one of the editors at the Daily Bugle, right?
That's Robbie. That's Robbie.
Robbie. Okay, I couldn't remember his actual name. I was like, okay, I'm going through the possibilities of all these different characters. Obviously, Luke Cage with a symbiote boost, that sounds badass. These other characters who there would be different dynamics that I haven't seen before. Obviously, with Jones, like you have the Hulk thing there, so that could be a thing. I don't know.
He's literally been everything else. He was Captain Marvel. He's been I want to say he's been one of the Nova Corps. He's literally the sidekick of all sidekicks. He has literally been just about everything.
Once I fucking saw, once I opened up the issue and they revealed that it was fucking Mary Jane Watson, immediate thoughts. I stopped reading that shit. I took that shot of my pull list. I haven't bought that single issue since, and I have not cared what was going on then. Because I question, I'm like, is Mary Jane that much more popular than, at bare minimum, Luke Cage? It's like, I understand her connection to Spider-Man, but I'm like, is she that? Well, we have to make her Venom. Because I feel like at this point, kind of like with Jim, we've seen her in damn near every fucking role. She's had symbiote powers already. She's had spider powers. Wasn't she Black Cat at one point or some shit like that? Or she had like Black Cat abilities? I can't remember. Like she's been.
I mean, there was a whole jackpot thing where she had like kind of was like a luck based thing.
Yeah.
It was rough. It was well, and like I told a lot of people, I didn't have a problem with it, but I wish that from a marketing perspective, it would have been handled differently. And I also feel like from a narrative perspective, like so Venom number 6 is the issue where they explain how it happens. I think if they would have just started with that issue, I don't think anyone would have had a problem because it's explained pretty well how it happened and why it's happening. But like, and there is a story there. But the thing is, you bogged it down in this bullshit mystery that you gave people hope. And you gave people hope that it was going to be that there was the chance that Luke Cage would could potentially become Venom, that any of these other characters could have become Venom, and then it ended up being a character that nobody was really thinking about. And I feel like when comic books lie to their audience, it's bad news for everybody. It's a bad time. It's never going to be that I mean, and maybe that should be a thing. Maybe instead of trying to like trick people with these phony mysteries, because I've been very vocal about this shit. I think that's very, very not okay to do. I think that would go a long way towards people actually trusting Marvel, and DC is equally as guilty because they've done something very similar and recently. But yeah, I think that at that point, lying to the customer is the worst thing you can do.
And there's a point here that we've had a couple of people in the chat point out that I also wanted to kind of pull up in regards to the idea that a lot of the writers are saving their best storytelling, a lot of their best work for their indie stuff, for their own personal tales, which it's a kind of sad, vicious cycle because you're having the casual fan and most fans only read Marvel and DC because of the legacy stuff, and they're not giving the indie stuff a chance. But a lot of the better stories are going to be in the indie stuff, but they don't have the cachet. So it's this sad cycle. And you're seeing a lot of these writers and because honestly, I was looking at, I was doing like 1 million hours worth of research trying to figure out how do I best market my book? Like, what are the avenues I should go down to make sure people see this book? And again, a lot of it, I've noticed like some of the writers maybe a little bit older and they're just not in touch with social media as much to kind of market their stuff on that platform the best. Because at this point, social media marketing damn near is king with how shit goes nowadays.
Yeah, 100%.
LeBron can tell you that after that bullshit today. But the other part of it is just that the casual audience just isn't going to give that stuff a chance, and it's sad. It's sad. But is that something you kind of like picked up through the grapevine that a lot of the bigger writers are just saving their stuff for their personal stuff, their stories?
Oh yeah, no, they're definitely doing it. They're definitely doing it. And I've talked to some people that have done that. The thing is that people follow names. They don't like. I mean, yeah, there aren't as many people reading like Marvel and stuff that's not Marvel and DC, but most comic book readers, especially people who are going to like an LCS on a regular, they're following their favorite writers. So like if you like Jonathan Hickman, you're gonna go read other Jonathan Hickman shit. If you like Kieran Gillen, you're gonna go read other Kieran Gillen shit. If you like Robert Kirkman, you're gonna go read other Robert Kirkman shit. And the thing is, and Kieran Gillen is probably one of the best examples of doing this recently, is that he was one of the big writers for X-Men over the last few years. And once he was done with his stuff during like the Krakoan era, he packed up his ball and he went to Image Comics and he released the Power Fantasy. And it's no secret, if you know what to look for in the Power Fantasy, it's very clear there were some things that he took that were kind of reminiscent of his X-Men run, and he just went over to Image and made his own book and did it better.
That's funny to me.
Yeah, and the thing is, and the reason why I think that that's not a bad thing to do is because you own that shit. That's his book. So if anyone tries to come and be like, "Hey, man, we want to make a Power Fantasy movie," it's not going to be one of those deals or where, oh, well, we're going to go through Marvel, and then Marvel is going to like cut you a $500 check later for your royalties, and then go make $1 billion off the movie, and you're not going to get a dime of it, just that $500 check and an invitation to the premiere. What they're going to do is they're gonna be able to negotiate, be like, oh well, no, I want you can do this, just make sure you give me my coins. That's how. I mean, granted, Robert Kirkman did it a little bit more scummy in regards to things like Invincible and Walking Dead. That's another story right there. I'm not here to relitigate that, but Robert Kirkman is one of the few people who's done it relatively smarter than some others.
Isn't he a partial owner of Image? If I'm correct, or
I believe he does have some ownership stake in Image, but he wholly owns Invincible and Walking Dead. Which is why it's always just his name, even though technically there were other people who were there who helped him create that shit. Yeah, I like that.
I'm
trying to make it hot.
The Bob Kane shit.
Yeah, I mean he is kind of the modern day Bob Kane. I mean, I'm not gonna hold you. I love the guy to death, but I mean I'm just keeping it a buck. But he can write his ass off, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna look the other way when you do scummy shit. But getting further into that, I've talked to some people who you want to talk about people getting hosed when it comes to their their efforts. I won't name names and I won't say what series, but if you kind of know the context clues, you'll know what I'm talking about. But I've talked to a creator who basically came out and said that when they did their work for I'll say it's Marvel. That's the most I'll say. They did a comic book for Marvel. The comic book was Cheeks, but it was not their fault because they literally were handcuffed walking in the door. They were basically told that they weren't allowed to. They wanted a comic about a character, but they wanted the character to be a new character, and the character wound up just having the exact same origin and damn near same trajectory as the character that they were replacing, and they were given one less issue than what they were initially told they were going to have. So basically the comic ended up being ass, and they kind of took and they caught a lot of heat for it. But the thing is, they went on to do like creator owned stuff and do like some licensed stuff and kind of got their cachet back up and have absolutely been killing it lately with all the other books that they have been working on. But I'm just saying that's just an example of how Marvel will set some of these writers up for failure and basically be like, well, we want you to do this comic. Okay, cool. Well, since the character's gone and we're making a new one, can I do it this way? No, you have to do it exactly the way we said do.
And that's out of curiosity. I don't know if you have this knowledge, because I've heard these stories from the few like writers I've talked to now. I think that was the thing like Mway, where I was talking to him about like what he wanted to incorporate within the Storm run, and he was like, yeah, they have particular characters that they want in there, certain characters that need to stay away from, certain things I need to stay away from. Is that an editor? Is that an editor decision, or is that still coming from like the accounting department still?
That's an editorial decision, but it can also be a marketing and accounting decision as well, because at least in terms of what characters need to be there. Because when I talked to Gail Simone about her Uncanny X-Men run, like how she selected the roster, what it ultimately came down to was the current Uncanny X-Men roster is literally just, aside from the new characters that were made specifically for the series, it was all characters that Gail loved. Like, but at the same time, a lot of them were characters she was specifically told needed to be on the team by Tom Brevoort. Basically, like, hey, it's got to have Wolverine. Okay, cool. Well, it's got to have Nightcrawler, and then like she was like, well, and I can't remember if she chose Rogue or if she was told she had to use Rogue. But ultimately, whatever came down to it, like some of the ones that she was told to use, she wanted to use anyway.
Right.
And some of the ones she was told to use made sense for all of them to be where they were, but I don't know. It's one of those situations where that's why when you mentioned earlier that there's some characters y'all are using these characters, but you're not using these characters over here. A lot of the times what it is they by marketing and accounting, they dictate, well, these characters make us the most money, so these are the characters we need to be focused on. And the reason why they can't build up new characters, or why Tom Brevoort got in some hot water with me, because he said there were no viable black X-Men
Oh, hell no.
characters. You know, he was, because basically he was saying that like outside of bit, like he was specifically talking about male characters, but like even that, and I tell people this all the time. I get that there's people out there who don't know that there's really cool black X-Men characters other than Storm and Bishop. But here's the thing: that's not the customer's fault. That's your fault for not putting these characters front and center. I can literally, off the top of my head, name 15 black X-Men characters, and that's just men. I'm gonna get me started on the women. And I can put you on game about why each of those characters could and how they could be interesting and used in a way that would make them viable. But because these characters, you know, they're not quotey fingers viable because they haven't caught on. Well, I mean, here's the thing: Storm didn't immediately catch on. I mean, the reason why she is as popular as she is because she was literally in every fucking X-Men comic from 1975 going forward.
Yeah, she wasn't even on the original team, if I remember right. It
No,
was like Beast,
it was
Iceman, Angel.
That team was white. That was an all-white team. That team was lily white. Lily white. It was white, like white with what? There was no Negroes on the team. And to take you a step further, you really, when you think about it, even back then, she didn't really get a whole heap of a lot of dialogue outside of like some instances, like, kind of spread apart. And then it wasn't until Chris Claremont, really kind of found his footing with the character that she really kind of thrived, and he got to do a lot more with her. But yeah, and Bishop was not like, I mean, I won't say for Bishop, I won't actually speak out of turn on that one. I didn't even really particularly like Bishop when he first hit the scene because he was always written like an angry black male stereotype. And even as a kid, I didn't like that shit. He was always angry. He was always yelling at somebody. He was always pissed off and always like being like, just, I don't know, just being real sus with the vibes. So like, it wasn't until like way later when better writers got a hold of him, I was like, okay, this character's actually cool.
What's crazy, like, I always thought he was Native American. I didn't know he was black until like later on because they always like, gave him like a reddish tint to his skin and the way his hair looked. I'm like, oh, he's a Native American. It makes sense.
He's technically he is Aboriginal. Technically, that was something that got kind of retconned in like later. That he was that he had Aboriginal ancestry. But I mean, look. All Aboriginals are to me are just some more Negroes. So
right. Comment in the chat, and this is a great comment because you give me a chance to promote something that me and Ernie have done. Infamous Mike Manhattan asked, did they ever put Spike from X-Men Evolution in the comics? Buddy, I'm glad you asked. If you look at my channel, I think the most successful video on my channel is me covering Spike in depth. And then hell, Ernie did one years before I did mine on his channel. So those, I'll leave those there. You can go check those videos out if you want like an in-depth explanation on Spike and his journey in comics. But looking at some of the, because we're going to tackle a few things here, and this is something I've seen put in the chat as well. I haven't answered a lot of these chats around this because we're going to get into it. But that being still following that idea of writing and some of the new material stuff is the crossover issue that we're seeing. And more recently, one that really bothered me to no end was with the Storm run. Moewa did, and it had nothing to do with his main story. It was the aspect of all these other X-Men, like the whole, like, I think the first thing that bothered me was the Xavier thing that did in issue, what was it, like 8 or 9 maybe, where she went to go save or release or break out Xavier from prison, which nigga probably deserved to stay in prison if we're keeping it a buck. And then she had to deal with like soloing, well, not soloing, because she did have Maggot there with her. But she pretty much fought most of the main roster of the X-Men at that point. And I remember thinking, this shit came out of nowhere. We were just dealing with her being a god. Why are we throwing in Xavier bullshit here all of a sudden? And then we've already seen her, like, if you wanted to deal with the whole her meeting the old team thing, she just went and met Rogue and had the whole shit with Logan and shit. So we've done this bit already. But this is a thing I'm noticing more and more is that Marvel and DC specifically, and again, we'll get into more indie stuff in a minute here, but for Marvel and DC, they'll have a great story going, that is making sense, is going well, and then now we have a tie-in that just jumps in randomly that you have to use because you're trying to promote something else or someone else, and it bogs down the story. If this is the case to where maybe they just jumped out of their main book into a different book, cool, I get that. But when you're inserting all these other characters with conflicting storylines into this main story, it bogs down this story. And from a casual fan who's not reading all this stuff, it confuses the fuck out of them because they don't even know who these people are or why these people are even here for that matter. I had to go like read 2 other books to figure out why the fuck Xavier was even in prison at this point. I just thought he was still catching heat from, I don't know, the Avengers versus X-Men shit. No, that was Scott more so than Xavier. But
like the Fall of the House of X, Rise of the Powers thing. Yeah. I'll put it like this. Crossovers and events are tiring. And I think that, something that maybe, and Marvel technically is doing it with this current one, is instead of trying to like tell stories through books that are already running, they are basically wrapping up storylines and then canceling those books, doing relaunches. Like this is basically what I'm talking about with like Age of Revelation. So instead of like a Storm book that's going to come out next month, you're going to get Rogue Storm. Instead of Jed MacKay's X-Men, you're going to get, I think, what was it? It might be amazing. It might be amazing X-Men, or it might be another word that starts with A, but point of the matter is it's basically taking the place of that one. Uncanny X-Men will be Unbreakable X-Men. Amazing Spider-Man will be Radioactive Spider-Man, like so and so and so forth. So that way those stories, they come out, they're self-contained, they'll be a part of the thing. Kind of very similar to what Age of Apocalypse did back in the 90s, which I think actually had a pretty fair degree of success. Just not because that way the other books don't get bogged down in whatever it is going on, and no one has to like be like, oh wait, what the fuck is happening? It's like, nope, this is all brand new, so just go from there. And then once all that's done, like Storm will come back, and it'll be Storm, Earth's Mightiest Mutant. That's what the plan is, and that was technically always the plan before even Age of Revelation came into play with it. But I think that when you have a story arc that doesn't, when you have like, especially in the case of like X-Manhunt, I feel like X-Manhunt had a lot of unnecessary tie-ins. I do think that Storm handled X-Manhunt better than some other books did, because NYX did not handle it particularly well. X-Factor didn't handle it particularly well. X-Force really didn't fucking handle it well at all. And I've noticed some books didn't even touch on it at all. But I think that what you really need to do is just focus on telling more concentrated narratives, like more focused narratives. And honestly, not try and have an event pop off like every like few months. Like this is all Tom Brevoort's fault, because he wants to go back to that 90s shit where there was like 80 million gajillion X books on the shelves any day of the week. I will say though, one thing I will not do, and I saw it in the chat, I will not do the manga versus Western comics debate, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Interesting.
Manga is just more comic books. That's all it is. Don't let we have lionized words like anime and manga. All they are Japanese words for shit you were already watching and reading over here. That's all it is. Now, does it come with a certain different set of sensibilities? Yes, it does. But I'm going to tell you something manga does not do well. They don't end books well. And sometimes they don't end at all. Like the very same criticisms that I used to always hear people say about why they prefer manga over Western comics, manga is guilty of the same shit. Look no further than One Piece. Have they said what the fuck the One Piece is yet? Have we seen the One Piece yet?
Dog.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay. You just answered my question right there. Also, they don't end well. They usually run so long that by the time they do end, they've lost the fucking plot. I can't tell you how many manga I've read to completion where by the time I get to the end of it, I'm like, this was some old bullshit. And I'm not talking about like obscure manga. I'm talking about like major tentpole series. Shit, I'll take you a step further. My Hero Academia, Jujutsu Kaisen. A lot of those books, everyone I know that was also current, like keeping up. Hell, Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man went from sugar to shit after I think it was around close to issue like 100. I haven't touched that shit since. I was like, man, this is bullshit. I was like,
You know what's
y'all are just
crazy? I fell in love with Chainsaw Man initially, and I was reading, and I got to the Hell arc. Well, again, for people watching this, spoilers. I'm not gonna go into too much depth, but essentially, when like you get to see what the full Chainsaw Devil looks like in his full capacity. I finished that. I'm like, oh, that's it. It's done, right? That's the end of the book.
Nope.
I found out like 2 months later, it's still going. I'm like, what the fuck else do you have to tell? What story can you continue to tell?
And yeah, no, it's not good. Also, please bear in mind the manga industry you lionize. They treat their artists, their mangaka, they treat them worse than even American comics publishers treat theirs. So I wouldn't put manga on too high of a pedestal. Japan has its own set of problems, and also you have to remember, and this is another reason why I won't let that type of East versus West thing hold. Here's the thing you need to know about manga. You only see the cream of the crop.
It is true.
It's easy to say manga is so much better when all you see is the best. Imagine if we only sent to Japan America's best. Like, I'm talking about like the creme de la fucking creme. I'm talking about like East to West, the beauty. I'm not talking about just Marvel and DC shit. I'm talking about literally like the fucking avant-garde, game-changing shit. Black Monday murders. I'm talking about Feral. I'm talking about Bitterroot. I'm talking about excellence. I'm talking about Black. I'm talking about like all of the best comics has to offer. If we sent that shit over to Japan and they were like, oh my God, dude, this shit is heat right here. See, exactly.
Yeah.
It's real easy to be like, oh, this is better than that. It's always like a grass is greener on the other side of the fence. Also, I don't know if people know this. I've said this a lot. I learned this because of my foray into being a foreign film collector back in the early to late aughts. There's a thing your brain does when you watch or read something that either A, has subtitles, or B, you have to read from a different direction. Your brain is actually working harder than what you think it is, and your brain like basically works that out into, oh, I am doing more work, therefore thing I am reading is more valuable, because your brain is sadly not as complex as you probably think it is. It is just a piece of meat that is trying to keep you happy and alive, because it thinks if you get sad, you're just going to stop eating and thus you will die. So yeah, don't overthink the manga thing. I promise you, manga is equally as guilty of a lot of bullshit. You just don't want to see it. Anyway, moving on. What else you got for me?
It's funny. Just last thing I have on it is it's funny how because most of my friends that I have are they follow comic stuff growing up, whatever it may be. But like anime is the hot thing now. Manga is the hot thing now. And I sit back and look at the discourse, and it's so funny how parallel the issues are. Where we talk about characters being reused over here, they're literally using the same story beats over there. Like Shonen has been Shonen is the equivalent of Spider-Man and Batman over here.
Yeah, it is. No,
we're gonna have a million, like the same child soldier that had his parents murdered, and now he's either has this vendetta that he gave himself, or he's been trained to do this thing, whether it be demons, rather it be shinobi, rather it be whatever.
Oh my God, I'm the hero who has great power, and I'm the main character, and I'm supposed to save the day. But oh my God, I just really don't want the responsibility. Oh, hey, the one female character who is absolutely positively worthless, but she must be there because the hero needs her. Oh my God, I've never seen that before. Oh, here's another thing you'll never fucking unsee. When a character says a word that you're supposed to remember and they say it 3 times to make sure you remember what the fuck it is. Like, oh, hey, my name is Ichigo, and I'm from the village of the shadow in the land of the sun and the sea. Wait, the village of the shadow and the land of the sun and the sea? Yes, the village in the shadow of the sun and the sea. Once you see that shit, you'll never fucking unsee it. Oh, why is there always a season 2 ramp up? Like, and it's like, and I get why they do it, but why is it always exactly the same as in every other fucking anime and manga? It's like, oh, hey, I'm the hero and I'm pretty fucking badass. And, oh, wait, no, you ain't, bitch. Bam, almighty push. Yeah, like, it's always or you know what? I'll throw you another old one. Oh man, that Vegeta sure was tough. Oh wait, Frieza, no. Like it's it's and what was it? This is my technique. Technique is just another word for like superpower. That's all it really fucking is. Y'all get these motherfuckers be getting tricked by like wordplay. Cause like, what was it the other day? I was having a little argument with my kid because they were talking about quirks from My Hero Academia. And I was like,
no.
A quirk's just a superpower, right? And they were like, well, yeah, no, it's like a quirk. I said, yeah. And I said, and what does that quirk allow them to do? Well, I mean, it's a power that, it allows them to do like cool things, but it has like a weakness. I say, yeah, superpowers have that too. And they were like, oh shit. Or like, ooh, this is like everything is a technique or some special word that they use to try and make the shit sound more like amazing than what it is. Mm-hmm. Like I keep trying, like, don't get me wrong. I'm not an anime hater. I watch plenty of anime and I read plenty of manga, but I just have been doing this shit long enough. I was reading anime and manga before that shit was even popular. I'm not trying to sound like an old unk or anything, but it just is what it is. When I was watching anime, like that was some shit you could only find like in the back of the video store. And it was like a little shelf that was probably about that long, about that tall, all VHS tapes. And when I say like, so when I say it was like this long, that means I was like 4 or 5 tapes on the shelf. Like back when like Dragon Ball Z, you have to get like 2 or 3 episodes of tape and then be mad when the tape ran out. But no, I love this stuff. But the thing is, I feel like so many people, because it is foreign, it makes them think that it's better. And I know this because I got caught in the same trap with movies. I used to be like, oh no, man, these people over here in France and Russia,
different.
They're doing something different. No, they're not. They're doing the same shit everybody else is doing. The difference is that they ain't got the budget. So the shit gonna look different anyway. And they're just doing the shit kind of guerrilla style. They're just making shit fucking happen. They're doing a little some with nothing. But once you get some money involved in that shit, it's all gonna start to look the same. It's all the same.
And I understand everybody. Like I'm not vilifying the idea that you can do, because again, nothing's new under the sun. I don't think there's any story that's ever going to come out, that ever has come out, that you can't watch and be like, oh, that's just like that thing I saw. It's just like this thing. Yeah. You can tell these same stories. You can have shonen, and because 9 to 10, the shonen is the same concept, but it's presented in a new, unique vision in that person's imagination, which is cool. But to your point, when people try to act like it's this elite form of storytelling better than anything ever done, I'm just like, dog, I don't. And it's crazy, even crazier, because you'll have those debates and then turn around and you'll see those same people argue the same points that you were arguing them with. Like, oh, this isn't that good because it's doing the same. I'm like, well, how is it that much better than what we're doing over here at that point? Then I don't understand it, but because
it's dumb.
Example, I sat down with one of my older friends, shout out Ethan. He really wanted to have me watch Ninja Scroll with him because for the stuff I'm writing, he was like, oh, maybe you'll get some benefit writing your villains, seeing some Ninja Scroll stuff. And I'm like, you know what, cool. I've heard about it because I did the Afro Samurai video and I saw that Sam Jackson had watched it back in the day without subtitles and he loved it. I'm like, you know what, let me give it a chance. Dog, I was like, this is a Zack Snyder movie. This is Japanese Zack Snyder.
It was Zack Snyder, like before Zack. Well, and to be fair, okay, I'm gonna really fuck your head up. So, have you ever watched Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust?
I have not. Funny enough, my friend mentioned it after we finished Ninja Scroll. He's like, you need to watch this as well.
So here's the funny thing about that. Same fucking director. And so that director has they have like kind of like how you were just kind of saying about Zack Snyder. It's actually kind of appropriate. Like, every director has like a thing that's like their signature. Like Zack Snyder has a slow-mo, J.J. Abrams has his lens flares, Quentin Tarantino has his feet shots, whatever. Or gratuitous mentions of obscure ass fucking movies that no one's ever heard of. So that director has the same thing, because not only did he do Ninja Scroll, he did Vampire Hunter D, he also did Wicked City. There's a thing that happens in all of his movies, and once you know this, you won't be able to unsee it. There's always a scene where someone is getting attacked and they are dodging backward. So like on the screen, they're like, sweet, got the speed lines and everything, and then someone is charging at them and swinging at them over and over again, and the person is going back like ding 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 ding. They do that in every fucking movie. Even in Wicked City, the movie that was literally just about people like, demons fucking demons and regular people and shit. So yeah, it's in every movie. It's in every fucking movie that he does. It's his signature. It's what he does. I don't hate him for it, but I mean, the thing is like, yeah, don't like there's certain. Oh, I forgot. Shit, he did that shit in Highlander, The Search for Vengeance, because he directed that anime movie as well. So yeah, everybody has a thing that they do. Nothing is incredibly original, and even like My Hero Academia, like I destroyed some people the other day because they were like talking about how, man, My Hero Academia is so much better than American comics. I was like, well, without American comics, you'd have no My Hero Academia, because all of the characters are based on American Marvel and DC superheroes. So it's like,
how do you see Deku and not immediately think Peter Parker? I don't understand that.
Dude, okay. I'll take you a step further. The motherfucker, the way he was doing, like in the first, like early seasons where he had to channel, he was literally fucking all of his poses when he's flying through, like he's like would shoot through the air. He was always doing Spider-Man poses, always. And even when you get to the later parts of the series, he even literally has what is effectively Spider-Man webbing.
Yeah, like, once he hit the black web, I was like, okay.
I was like, come on, bro. Like, stop. And also, if you check out what was it, My Hero Academia Vigilantes, there's literally two characters who are effectively Cyclops and Wolverine.
You know what? Funny enough, because I watched Vigilantes and I really enjoyed it, and I was like, is that fucking Wolverine? Because he's short too.
Yeah,
he's short and has the claws and has the hairdo. Like
but he has the hat on. He has the hat on, so it kind of throws you off. But the other dude, they are literally Cyclops and Wolverine. They are literally so. Like, that's why I keep telling people, like, look, don't sit, like, okay, yes, American comics, especially lately, have been kind of cribbing off of, like, anime and manga, but the thing is, Japan's been doing that shit for fucking years, and nobody says anything. Japan has quite literally some of the greatest stories, like, okay, case in point, isekai, the most popular genre of anime, by a factor of 1 billion. It's not an original genre. It's not an original genre, yet people treat it like it is. We have seen isekai before Japan ever even fucking conceived the idea of doing it. And it was fucking called Tron.
You know what? Damn.
And I'll take you a step further. Technically, if you really want to get technical about it, Alice in fucking Wonderland.
You know what?
Because all isekai is just going to another world. That's
right.
all it is. So the idea of just mysteriously waking up and being somewhere else, it's not an original concept. And I really, Wizard of fucking Oz, right? Dude, I'm sorry, but I mean, Truck-kun, it wasn't Truck-kun, it was Tornado-kun that got that got Dorothy's ass. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's all the same. It's all the same. So that's why I don't ever want to. Also, Japan cannibalizes itself. They cannibalize themselves a lot, and like all like, and like I said, it's all. I love Super Sentai. One of my favorite series, one of my favorite seasons of Super Sentai is oh my god, was King Ogre, basically, and all it is Attack on Titan with giant robots and ninja looking. Superhero looking characters. That's all it is. They literally live in a walled city and giant monsters come and attack it. Even has rings like Attack on Titan, like inner layers and shit. Like I said, they cannibalize themselves, and we just sit here and like, oh my god, look at how original they are. Like, dude, get that shit the fuck out of my face. Like, that's why, like, anyone who comes to me trying to tell me the anime and manga is so super original, I immediately know you're cooked. I know you're cooked off top. I'm sorry. I won't.
It's people having something be their favorite thing, and they need a reason to justify why it's their favorite thing.
Yeah,
they want to feel
it's
like
their whole personality.
Their favorite thing is superior to your favorite thing. And I'm like, you can consume other pieces of media. Again, we can go down the rabbit hole further.
Yeah,
but I don't want to get too far off track.
No. I'll just say this. I read my manga and I read my American comics. I can walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. So.
Right.
But yes.
The next thing to get into is, well, fuck, we kind of knocked out two things at one time in that conversation. But we'll Well, because I saved a chunk for like some of the absolute stuff, so I didn't feel like I just clickbaited people with the thumbnail. Like I wanted to get into somewhat
Yeah,
of
we
what
talk about it.
who's doing well, but the next thing up is we're getting into the indie stuff now. When we're looking at fans and the issue that we kind of spoke on briefly with the casual audience not picking up an indie book as often. And I feel like there's like a cultural gap that can be bridged here. Because that's one thing I've noticed when I'm at a convention. I see people randomly go to conventions and go down Artist Alley and pick up a million indie books. And like I've seen people go into Artist Alley and blow a bag on just like buying every independent book in there and taking the chance. But I'm like, okay, how do you replicate that same feeling and that same willingness to buy and try something new outside of the convention space? Because obviously conventions have a certain type of energy and a certain type of people there that are different than the casual audience. But like, how do you recreate that to where you'll have something like to be quite honest, like finishing the I Was a Fashion School serial killer run, I'm like, this would make an amazing fucking series, animated or otherwise. People would eat this shit the fuck up. If you fucking casted Jenna Ortega as fucking Rennie and let that shit go, that shit is going to be like printing money. But it's an indie book that not too many people are going to read or going to give the same credence, even though it's, in my opinion, really well written, really dope characters in that universe as a whole. Like that serial killer universe as a whole, if it ever reaches animation or any format of adaptation, it would go crazy. How do you get people to take that chance on this independent stuff?
You have to have some wow factor, and you got to have some social media presence. I think that there's something to be said for spending a little bit of extra bread and getting a trailer out. Getting a trailer out is not something I am personally interested in doing myself, but I feel like if you don't have a social media presence, it's probably going to be the safest bet for you. You're also going to want to be trying to get out here and get people talking about your shit. Put the book in hands of people who you know are going to fucking talk about it. And also, your cover game needs to be impeccable, because even though technically you could open up a comic and read the first few pages to figure out whether or not you're going to be able to get jiggy with it, you need to have covers that are going to really drag people in. You're gonna want covers that are really going to rope in an audience and get them hooked, because you need that oomph, you need that extra pizzazz to really drag them in, hook them, and also this is something too that I think is really important, and this is something that you can't really do. This is not in the selling phase. That's something you have to do in the creating phase. You gotta hook them in the first 3 pages, because that's kind of a hard rule for a lot of things. When you're writing something, you need to have whatever it is you are doing popping off by page 3. And that's not difficult to do, because page 3 is quite literally it's gonna be it's like your second page turn. So or right before your second page turn, once you read the first page. So you want to make sure that I whenever I'm reading something and by page 3 I'm still kind of like, all right, where the fuck is this going? You've lost me. You've already lost me. I'm not saying that I'm gone, but my time is valuable, and I will literally start. That's the moment. If you haven't grabbed me by page 3, you literally have one more page turn before I put shit down and keep on moving to something else. Because time is valuable. And I think that's also another thing, is comics that can be respectful of people's time. Not trying to avant-garde the audience. Trying to do some Sundance, Cannes Film Festival shit. There's something to be said for just getting right to the point. Give the people what they want. If you're advertising your book as giant monsters fighting each other, I need to see a giant monster fighting something by page 3 or 4 at the latest. 4 is the absolute latest I'm willing to allow it. If your book is about a superhero who flies through space and beats up space aliens, I need to see that motherfucker about to punch a space alien by page 3.
I ain't
know,
gonna hold you. You made me feel a lot more secure and Reaper. Now, like I'm here, just like, because as you were saying, I'm like, damn, did I do that? All right, cool. Check. Because I think I talked to you about it. I was like, you just with the cover stuff. I was overly obsessed. I think I paid for like 6 or 5 different artists to do a cover, and I was still like, this shit don't feel right. This isn't it.
Well,
And I feel like it's the dream artist to do it. But to your point, all these things are factors that I feel like most writers would know for indie stuff, because at least for like the interior stuff, I feel like maybe they know this, which is again something that I really like. I really enjoyed the stuff from Doug Wagner when he was doing with his universe, because he's usually pretty quick to get to it. Like always some like
he doesn't
some
waste
murder,
time.
yeah. And I'm like, okay, cool. Because also keeping in mind that most comics traditionally are like around like 20-ish pages for like the main stuff.
Yeah,
So
2022.
2022, you got 2022 pages, which I'm also learning from writing it is not a lot of pages to tell a story. Because in my mind, in the first issue, I'm like, oh, I want to do and it's something I've noticed some other writers make the same mistake of too, because something I was doing before I had my friend look at it is that you're looking at it as you would look at a television show, where you feel like, oh, I have 5 minutes or 10 minutes to get to tell this origin or to set these stuff up. Versus, to your point, no, you got to get directly into stuff, and then once you've hooked your reader, maybe now you have time, or in the second issue, you can really flesh out a lot more of the lore you're trying to establish. Now that you have people interested in the story.
My general rule is you want to go guns blazing for the first 2 issues. Like you want to keep a very like nitro steady pace. Issue 3 is where you might want to kind of like take a step back and then be like, okay, let's let it breathe a little bit. That's not well. It also depends on how many issues you're trying to do. Like if you're trying to do like 5 issues, then yeah, I think 3 is a good place to kind of be like, all right, chill it down now. Chill it down.
It's right around the corner.
And then you start ramping, and then like we get to issue 4, start ramping it back up, and then you get to 5, go balls out. That's and I don't think you have to have a cliffhanger for everything, but I do think leaving people wanting more is a nice metric if you know you're going to be able to come back and do more. Though I will say there is something to be said for telling contained stories in a single issue. I am not particularly good at that because I'm a wordy bitch. So I kind of want to I kind of want to let my story, like the type of story, if I had to compare the way I typically write something, I usually kind of like to have a hook at the end to be like, hey, okay, this is basically what I'll do. I will try to wrap up as much as humanly possible, but still leave you with one lingering thing that will be like, hey, next time. That's the way that I usually try and do it. It's how it's usually how I structure everything. And what I'll do is I'll kind of write out some paragraphs of what I want, and I'll go back, write an outline, like a page by page outline, like literally bullet point 1. This is everything that's happening on page 1. Bullet point 2, everything that's happening on page 2. Bullet point 3, everything that's happening on page 3. And then go from there and then start scripting, going right down the line of everything. And I will definitely say that my way is not perfect, and it's not the only way to do it. And I'm not saying it's even the right way to do it. Actually, if you listen to some of the GOATs, like a Neil Adams would tell you that there is no wrong way to do it. There's no right way either. There's just whatever way works best for you. But once you get that down, and then of course, obviously going into the art phase of it, making sure everything lines up exactly with your vision, so on, so forth. Yeah, the main thing is when I was going through and working on Heart of the Darkness #1, my main thing is that I had to take stock of what my comic was. My comic is not an action comic. It is honestly a comic where the main character doesn't fight. Matter of fact, if the main character is fighting, something bad has happened. That's usually that's how my story is. So I had to think, what would be the coolest thing that I could do that would get me close to that and give that same like illusion of action, but it's all being done through like negotiation and talking. And basically I was like, you know what? Instead of doing page 3, like waiting till the absolute last third page, I was like, no. I said, we're going to start off setup page on the first one, but also putting some stuff in there to let you know what's popping off. And then second page, boom, show you what my character can do. And that way you immediately go, oh, wait a minute, this nigga built different. And then you go from there. It's like, oh, and then show how cool and calm and collected he is walking through a room of things that any normal person would be absolutely terrified of. And then that's how you get that hook. You get people going like, oh shit, dude, who's this dude? Oh my god, man, this dude's wilding, man, this is crazy. And that's how you keep them engaged. So that's why I'm always I kind of like the same way that I treat my YouTube thumbnails. I keep a rule of thirds overlay on all my thumbnails that no one else is going to see, but like I see it when I'm doing it, so I know where everything is in the center. It's like the exact same thing, but for writing for me. Keeping that third page mentality that, man, okay, if I gotta have them by page 3. I can't wait till page 4. It has to be no later than page 3. And that is what I think more people need to be worried about when you're, especially for a newer generation of readers who don't have the attention spans that maybe some other people might.
At all. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I've noticed that in videos now, where like I'll look at analytics and be like, especially for the video essays, I tend to get very academic, for lack of a better term, where like I'll treat it. I treat, like, initially I used to treat my video essays a lot more like a literal essay just being put into video format, and I'm like, all right, fuck, I have to account that this is a video, not just a essay. How do I make all right, I gotta joke, I gotta throw some jokes in here, or throw a fucking meme in here, or throw a concept that will catch my attention earlier on. And again, to your point, you said it didn't work for everybody, but I do think your approach is probably the quintessential approach for an independent writer, the way they should approach stuff. Because to your point, if you're going to try to get somebody's attention, it has to be really quick and getting out there. And it's something that I tried to keep in mind with my stuff as well, because I think I legit have like a fight, or at least the beginnings of a fight on page 3. As soon as you turn that page, it's like demons in your face. Go get them.
No, when you sent me the script to read, that was actually, matter of fact, that was in the back of my head while I was like, okay. I was like, all right, okay. I was like, page 1, okay. I was like, all right, page 2, okay, all right, okay, all right. Page 3, okay, all right. I said, this is it. I said, here it is. And I was like, okay. I was like, I said that is, I was like, that's the one thing I look for has been taken care of, so we can continue. Because you're fighting for eyeballs. You're fighting for eyeballs when you're out here in this indie comic space, because at any given moment, someone could just go read Wolverine or Batman or Spider-Man or X-Men or Justice League or Avengers or whatever and get whatever it is that you hope to give them. But I also think you need to be offering something that people can't get anywhere else. And that's difficult to do. It's difficult to do, but it's not impossible. And that is why whenever I have a Google Doc that I run through, and I write down concepts all the time. It's literally chock full of just random thoughts. And I treat each one like an elevator pitch, like in very basic terms. Okay, what if, take so-and-so, this happens in so-and-so blah, but so-and-so. Easy. And I know, and I always know when some of those ideas are great, because I've literally, in the last a few years, as I've been kind of racking up these ideas, I've seen some other mediums kind of doing similar things. I think like a few years ago, actually, when I first started doing YouTube, one of the ideas I had was for I couldn't really decide which way I wanted to go with, but basically a superhero support system. Like a help desk, like call center or whatever. And I was like, man, but what if dude leaves and goes and makes his own, but does it for like the bad guys, instead, and while granted, not the exact same thing, there's literally a game coming out at the end of this month called Dispatch.
So it's like, funny enough, I do a similar thing, but I do it with like my dreams. I don't have a dream journal, but I've realized I don't dream too often, but when I do, I'll have the most random fucking concepts, and I'll wake up in a fucking cold sweat, like, damn, that was a fucking fever dream. I'm like, but that would make a great story. Let me write this down. Or like, it's a crazy fucking concept. And my dreams are very vivid. Like, my dreams literally play like a fucking TV show or a movie. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, damn, let me write this shit down for later on. So I have like a list of like stories that I'm like, all right, shit, once I'm done with Reaper, shit, I got a couple things I could probably pivot to at a certain point or like turn into a fucking, but it's interesting to say the least as far as that stuff goes. And to your point about being unique, like trying to find stories in your unique life perspective is something I think a lot more people should do. Again, obviously, again, nothing news under the sun. You're gonna have some stories that are very similar to one another, but even artistically, I think there's like a certain like thing that you bring to the table that not all people give. But moving into the next thing, and this is really where I wanted to kind of really get into, honestly, because we kind of shit on anime a little bit and manga a little bit. This is where I think they're shining the best at in something that we've already mentioned previously, in the idea of, we talked about story crossovers, but now like self-contained stories within comic books. And I bring this up because I have been an absolute fiend, pun intended, reading Batman, reading Superman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, and especially now after reading Absolute Evil, nigga. Oh, that shit up. I've been enjoying the fuck out of this whole idea that we're building up to this storyline that's going to, it's technically like an event, kind of sort of more than likely, but it's all self-contained within this one universe that you've been building up piece by piece. And it's just something that I fucking adore, because I can't remember the last time I saw this in at least in Marvel or DC Comics, where they took their time building all this stuff out, which I guess makes more sense because initially all this shit was supposed to be like a fucking mini series, if I remember right. Like I think Absolute Batman was only planned for like 5 issues initially before it started fucking selling like fucking hotcakes. And then they're like, well, you know what? Let me write some more of that shit. And I also think they're in a unique situation because they're outside of the main continuity, because all this shit is new. I feel like Al Ewing or Scott Snyder, they don't have a weird control, like they don't have the overseer over their neck, like, no nigga, you can't use that, you can't do that, because nothing is fucking up what you have going on at this point in time. You can just do new shit. And it's refreshing to see. Like when I see their version of the Joker get to do Joker shit, it's something new. It's not the typical Joker, but it's intriguing because I'm looking at like the little ways they're like showcasing his eyes in the art, or like how he's monologuing, how Ra's al Ghul is monologue. Race rise, you know, some niggas with the.
I say Race because that's just how I was raised.
I watched the show, yeah, but it's crazy to see these characters be different, but uniquely fresh and not be bogged down by outside influences, and that's why I love it so much. Now, I'm scared that they're gonna fuck it up at a certain point, but I have faith that they're not going to fuck with the formula. Let Scott Snyder, Al Ewing, Kelly Thompson,
yeah.
Let them do what they're doing and let them continue to write their stuff. And I think the show point in seeing if they're gonna fuck this shit up is gonna show when they do this Batman and Wonder Woman crossover. When we see this crossover happen, how that's handled is gonna depend on how I feel like the rest of the universe is gonna go. Because now you're gonna have. And I'm really interested to hear about like the process that they went through writing that. If it was more of a collaboration thing with Scott and Kelly, or if that was more of a, you know, you go, I go type of thing. But yeah, the idea of a self-contained story in comic books. We talked about crossovers, but also the whole idea that you're telling this person's story before you jump into something else.
And I think that's, for me, I think that that's kind of the way, like, give me some self-contained stories. I don't need overarching narratives all the time. I think there's something to be said for doing something simple. Like, I know one of the upcoming Batman, Absolute Batman titles is just going to be their own version of Batman versus the Klan. Instead of Superman versus the Klan, it's going to be Batman versus the Klan. And it's not being shy about these people being the Klan. Wonder Woman has done it where like they kind of, taken a breather from like one story arc, did like a little 1 or 2 issue joint, move on with their day. They did the same thing with Batman and Mr. Freeze in the absolute side of things. And I also will say too, there is something to be said for alternate universe takes, even outside of absolute, because Dark Knights of Steel did gangbusters when it was coming out, and all it was hey, what if DC Comics was Game of Thrones or whatever? That's all it was.
Like the Dark Knights metal stuff for like the
no. This was no. This was it was called Dark Knights of Steel. It was like literally everybody was like, it was like knights and wizards and kings and queens.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it did gangbusters. I think it ran for like 12 issues. They brought it back and did another one called Dark Knights of Steel All Winter, which I never really finished, but I enjoyed it for what it was. Yeah, what I had read up to that point. And also, like, you look at like Marvel had Avengers Twilight, which was pretty lit. Which was like its own like little self-contained story, and you also have stuff like Black Canary, Best of the Best, which is also like yet another self-contained story. There's a lot to be said for not worrying about doing like ongoing shit. Just you come in, you tell your story, get the fuck out of Dodge, go on with your day. I like stuff like that. I actually prefer it to a lot of other things. So if they, considering that Image and like Dynamite, Boom, Dark Horse, IDW, they do this shit all the time, I honestly think that Marvel and DC can learn a lot from maybe paying more attention to that sort of thing. Not trying to like make everything a fucking ongoing.
Right. The next thing, we'll jump directly to the next things. I feel like we kind of got into a little bit of that through prior points. And this is the topic and a point that we're going to get into at some point, obviously, because I think it's a bigger conversation to look at, because it's a little bit of a compounded thread between some of the industry issues, some of the fan issues, some of the culture issues. It's the racism.
Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
We have this thing where characters who are, let's say, melanated, or if you want to use Gen Z stuff, a little zesty, they don't get pushed in the proper way or at all inherently. We've talked about a bunch of characters from like a lot of the Black X-Men stuff, like Prodigy, hell, for me, one of my favorite characters in Brielle. And even I think a really big, really missed opportunity, especially with DC stuff, is like Batwoman with Kate Kane.
Oh yeah.
You have all these issues of representation, but whenever these characters are put about, I feel like they either take the Disney approach to where, yeah, we'll put out the book, but we're not really going to promote it for real. We're just going to like throw it out there, and if it blows up, it blows up. But if not, we shutting this shit down immediately. Or it's a case of, we'll put them in a side book and use them as like a gag. What's old girl's name? She has like this magical moon, almost kind of like Moon Knight sheriff in DC, where I think she's usually like
Marilyn
stuff.
Moonlight. Marilyn Moonlight. Yeah.
Only ever see her to be like a plot device for fucking Superman stuff. I've never seen her outside of that.
Yeah, she was literally a plot device and a MacGuffin. Really just a straight up MacGuffin in some of the more recent Superman stuff. And also I think that black and brown characters, they should not be disposable. Not in comparison to their white counterparts. I always like to point out to good instances of using black characters. Look no further than Al Ewing, who typically goes out of his way to have
boy. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, nah. I mean that. Look, Al Ewing will quite literally bend over backwards to get Blue Marvel in a book. Matter of fact, if I ever see a comic and I see Blue Marvel in it, I just assume it was Al Ewing that was writing it. And that's a whole white man. That's a whole white man out here fighting the good fight, trying to get black folks in some books.
Is he
like,
British? I don't know what it is. I've noticed that being a thing where like
Yeah.
European white people usually are the ones that put black characters in their stories almost as much as actual black writers. I don't know what that is.
Whatever it is, I appreciate him for it, because when he got Absolute Green Lantern, he could have very easily had made the book about Hal Jordan. He was like, nope, Joe. Though I know originally he wanted it to be John, but like it didn't pan out the way that he wanted it to go. So he ended up just using Joe instead, because he was like, oh, I read Far Sector and she's awesome. So he was like, I want her. And he put her in. And he's like, all right, cool. She's my Lantern. And you read and you look at like, honestly, I think the only reason why Luke Cage and Robbie Robertson were in All New Venom was largely because he was like, this book white as fuck. He said, I need some Negroes in it. Let's get them in here. He said, where are my Negroes? I need them in this book. And he'll find some, way to make it work. He'll figure it out. And very few people, and I don't know if you've ever read his, he has a comic called We Only Find Them When They're Dead. This book right here. This book got more than this fair share of Negroes in the future.
Oh wow!
Like all across the future, right? I mean, it's like, look, you can't really tell, but you can't really see, like right here. That's a Negro right there. That's one. They don't show you all the characters. I think this is like a half Negro here, right there. And then like there's like even more in the book. Like they just be showing up, just be springing out the goddamn ground. I'm like, goddamn, that's why like when. I made the joke when he was when they were relaunching Venom after Venom War. I was joking about how Al Ewing was desperate to get away from writing bog standard white characters. He's like, I need to get on some nigga books. He's like, I don't. He's like, I can't do this shit no more. He was like, man, can I get one? Look, can I just get Luke Cage? Can I get Luke Cage? Can I get Robbie Robertson? He said there's too many white folks in this goddamn book. He said, y'all already got me writing this redheaded white woman. He said, can I at least get 2 Negroes? 2, please. Please. He's like, hey, Green. He said, I'm going to DC. I'm writing Green Lantern. I don't want Hal Jordan. He said, here's what I need. He said, I tell you what, I'll put Hal Jordan in the book, but because I got Hal Jordan, can I have 2 Negroes? Can I have John and can I have Joe? If I can have that.
When that shit was announced and they saw Joe in the cover of that shit, you saw a particular musty set of fans coming that bitch like.
Oh, yeah. There's powerful niggardry at work here.
I don't know.
It was good.
It's woke. Good. She's too woke. It's already going to fail. Absolute's going to fail because they have a woke woman as a Green Lantern. I'm like, all right, dog. I think that initial reaction is a lot of the issues with comics and I think nerddom in general because one, obviously, they're for now they're the majority. White people are the majority, and for the longest time, I think nerd space was kind of synonymous with a particular. It was synonymous with a lot of white people for the most part. Yeah, and a lot of our place we've cultivated as blurs within the space is still relatively small. Like I always forget how many more white fans of comic books there are whenever I come out of my rabbit hole of black people. Because I'll be in like my little Facebook groups or Twitter groups and communities around nothing but black creators and people in my little echo chamber. And I'll peer my head out like, oh, damn. Ooh,
a lot of y'all.
Yes.
Well, it can change.
Because they're the majority. They're going to dictate what the market is.
And it can change, though. It can change. I was watching a documentary about early days comics. And a lot of people forget about this, but originally... before the big superhero boom, comics were largely a girl thing.
Really?
Yep. Comics were mostly girls read comics more than boys did back in the day. It wasn't until like later when you started getting into like DC Comics and Marvel as we know them to like from the 60s, maybe 70s going forward when like superhero comics were really like catching on. Before that, comics were largely they were largely seen as being for girls. It's a documentary called She Makes Comics. I actually highly recommend. It's good stuff. But it's basically about like the history of women in comics.
Put my notes.
It's also in my little thing I gave you access to.
Jealous.
But no, matter of fact, they kind of gloss over it, which I didn't particularly care for. But they even talked about like some of the earliest black women who used to be in comics. Like working in comics, not like not working in janitorial in the office, but actually like working on comics. And like some of the pioneers of that. But yeah, it used to be a woman's thing. It used to be like, oh, that's for girls. Like you would be more back in like the 50s, probably even the early 60s, you would be more likely to see a little girl reading comics than see a little boy reading comics. Crazy work.
That's interesting. Because again, there's that narrative, especially within I think this even transpires like racial barriers, that whole narrative of, oh, there weren't any girl nerds when I was in school, and you guys are on it because it's popular now. I'm like, no, sir, you were musty.
No, they were there.
You had no social skills.
Right. It was like, no, the girls were there, but you scared them away. You scared them off. I'm just saying. But no, yeah.
Truest shit ever said.
I mean, look, hey, they harsh the vibes, man. They harshed them up. But yeah, no, I think that women, if the demographic can shift that dramatically, I think we can shift it ourselves. It takes a concerted effort, and I think it's gonna need to be like more. Okay, I'll tell you what it's gonna take. And I know some people probably won't agree with this, but I don't give a fuck. That same energy, kind of like you were saying earlier, like talking about how like, oh, the money you spend on this is probably the same money you spend on like fast food. How about this? Do this. The same money that like if you're thinking about, oh man, I would have gone and bought this. Because I mean, let's keep it a buck. I don't know too many Negroes that's actually buying manga. But the same money you spent going to get like a hot and ready, or going to Starbucks, like a 4 for $4 or a $5 biggie bag or whatever the fuck it is you get wherever you go. How about take that same money and maybe go pick up some comics? And they don't have to. I'm not saying you have to buy black comics, but it helps. I tell people all the time, like, there's really like, if you think if you're reasoning for why you don't read American comics because it's all superheroes, first off, you played yourself. There's a book running right now called They Choose Violence that is not superhero-y at all, and it's amazing.
That's a wild ass comic.
Oh yeah, that comic is off the chain. But I will also say, there's comics that are obviously not black centric, but there's comics like Exquisite Corpses, which is really fucking good. And like I said, the book's off the chain. You could be reading, like if you're one of those guys like me, you grew up in the 80s or whatever, the 90s, whatever. Motherfucker, there's Street Sharks books out here right now. They got gargoyles out here, Thundercats, Silverhawks, Transformers.
I gotta read the Demona book so bad. I need to read that shit.
Yeah, shit's fucking lit.
And though, Exquisite Corpses, that killed my whole, like, my series I did in videos where I tried to do the Rob thing and be like, oh, I'm gonna cover this shit like page for page, bar for bar. That fucking 75-page issue with fucking Exquisite Corpses, I was like, yeah, bro, I'm never doing enough of these again. I'll cover it in like a synopsis, but I'm not going page for page with this shit no more. That shit killed me. Them shits is too. Video did okay for my channel, but I'm like, never again.
Nah. Look, let me keep it a buck with you. The books is long. And then if you want to step outside of all that, like there's literally a book for everything now. There's literally a book for everything. There's so much other than just like superhero, like or what I call cape comics. Cape comics are not the only comics you can read. So I always say, if you can, if you must, go ahead and maybe you look at some shit other than like the Marvel and DC shelf. Because right now there's so many amazing comics out there that honestly a lot of times I don't even have time to read all of them. Because like there's probably like a dozen or so comics I read from DC. There's probably almost a dozen or more I read from Marvel, and there's probably like 2 dozen or more I read just from Image alone. there's at least like a half dozen of Dynamite books that I read on the regular. There's at least a half dozen of Boom Studios books I read in the regular. There's always something out there that you can be reading that is amazing stuff. And just because it doesn't have Marvel's logo on it or DC's logo on it doesn't mean that it's not going to be a quality read. I think that's the thing we kind of need to get away from is thinking that Marvel and DC are the only ones out here making books. There's tons of books out there. There are so many comics publishers. And there's a publisher for just about anything. I can't tell you how many times somebody would be like, man, I really wish they were making a so-and-so comic. And I would just be like, actually.
I'm glad you asked.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that. I was literally just reading a comic that is exactly what you were talking about that you said you would spend money on, top dollar to read. So, take your ass to the comic book shop and go buy that shit.
For your most exceptional nigga.
Man, I'm just saying. Like, it's not hard. And you know what? I would even say too, if you don't know like what comics to get, ask somebody. Like honestly, the best thing you can do is talk to the person in your shop. Just like, hey man, what's hot? Like not even say what's hot. What are you reading? Ask the person in the shop what they're reading. They're probably reading shit other than the regular shit. They're probably reading that new that shit that you have to like go behind the back of a building and knock on the wall in just the right like space 3 times and then give a password to find out about. They're probably reading that shit. Find out what it is. Be like, hey, because that's what I used to do.
That's what I love about my LCS now is that again, shout out to Oxford Comics and Games, y'all the fam. In the back of where they have like they have like new arrivals, stuff from wherever is hot now, but they have a section for like each employee of the shop, like showcasing what their picks are for that week and what they're reading. And I'm like, oh, that's dope. If I know that person, I know their taste. Cool, I'll go over and I'll check out what they got going on.
I like that.
Quick thing in the chat too. I'll acknowledge the question only to do some correction here. Raider 87 asks, Raider Nation 87 asks, do you think a lot of writers are scared to write for colored characters? Really quickly, my man, don't ever in your life say colored or type colored ever in your fucking life again, please. 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 Because you will get cussed out in person, and I almost wanted to cuss you out here, but I'm taking this as a chance to assume that you're just really old or maybe
I'm about to say we don't do colored here. Colored is not the.
That's a trigger word for me. That's a fight or flight response. I'm not gonna let you if I hear colored.
It's like it's kind of funny because it kind of goes back to the thing I was talking to my kid about the other day. Because I saw someone share this meme where it was a picture. Like sometimes people like to call black people monkeys. They like.
I saw that in Critics of Culture. Yeah, that shit was funny as fuck. Y'all that shit.
It was wild because I was like, yeah, I said it's kind of funny because I don't hear it as much now, but back when I was a kid and like a teenager, that used to be a pretty common word to hear people throw around to refer to black people as like monkeys. And I was like, hold on, wait a minute, y'all look more like monkeys than we do. Hold on, wait a minute, because I was like, monkeys don't have thick lips or like or even the same types of noses. I was like, the only thing we have in common is that like
physiology, I guess.
Like physiology by the fact that we have the same number of like fingers and toes. But I was like, that's about it. They're not even the same. But I was like, if you shave a monkey, their skin is white and their lips are just as thin as white people's. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to start calling white people monkeys because that would be racist and that would be mean. But I feel the same way about being called colored because it's like, look, man, white people change more colors than we do. So
when I hear colored, I hear boy is a trigger one for me. And it fucks me.
That's another one, yeah.
Because I'm from the South, so like a lot of older men, black or white or indifferent, will say boy. But when I see an old white man say that shit,
I don't like people calling me son either. Like I don't. Well, let me be specific. I don't like white people calling me son. Because I'm like, first off, you ain't my daddy. I don't know you. I don't know you like that. But yeah, no, don't ever do that again.
That shit triggers me. But
carry on.
That for the most part are all the main questions. And I think unless there's some in the chat, unless there's some other contributing factor to why comics aren't or have not been doing as well as they probably should be, especially within the cultural zeitgeist. Please feel free to let us know in the comment section below. But that's all I have. The last thing that I wanted to pick your brain on, mostly as a fan, before I let you go.
Yeah.
The number one draft pick of the United States Hater and Petty Association goes to Mr. Ernie Carruthers, because nigga, I think you posted this video before you went on vacation, or maybe a little bit before, of you being invited to somebody else's stream to have a conversation about stuff, and you kind of broke down the highlight recap of stuff. And literally, it's funny because obviously he was trying to bait you into having certain conversations. And for people, I won't get into the details for it, but y'all can go watch that video on this channel. It's a funny ass fucking video, so I highly suggest you to watch it. But it's funny because throughout the video, you are similar to me, to where like a lot of your opinions and their expressions are on your face. So as shit is getting absurd, I'm seeing you side eye certain shit. What was it about this particular interaction made you want to have a fucking film breakdown? Because again, it was great content, so great decision.
Yeah.
Perfect. But what's thought about that? Because that felt like a normal interaction that I would have with somebody who has only watched MCU stuff or has only been consuming comic books through the lens of a content creator who's giving them short form content. Like I can very apparently tell when somebody has only watched Rob's or your channel to consume a comic book, and they're not, because you're not putting every page in the video, so like they'll miss certain context, and I can tell when. What was about this video that made you want to actually like really like deep dive on this shit?
So it was kind of funny. When it happened, I initially was not going to do anything about it. I was just going to let it die, just let it go. Because at first I was like, you know what? Sometimes people have bad interviews. It's whatever. And not everybody's good at interviewing people. I've encountered that my damn self a time or two in the past. But when I saw how abruptly he ended it, and I saw that he had like unlisted it.
Oh damn.
I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I was like, fine. And also, when I was talking to people about the interaction, they were like, dude, there's no way. And I'd be like, no, I got it right here. And the thing is, I want to make something very clear. I don't normally make a habit of recording other people's live streams that I do with them. But the only reason I did it was because what I do is I do have other people, like if I'm on somebody's live stream, I will have their feed up so I can kind of just have it there in case, for whatever reason. Right. And I had it up. So when he unlisted it, I was still able to like roll it all the way back to the beginning in and then in OBS just screen capture it. Yeah. Right. So that's what I did. I was like, fine, fuck it. And and of course, when I was kind of playing it back, my my wife and my kid, they would kind of hear it, from the other room, and they would just be like, "What the fuck, weirdo, were you talking to?" And I was like, that let me know. And then also I showed it to Carter, and when he was like, the whole time he was just like, bruh. He was like, bruh, what is this? He was like, what is? I showed it to Robo. Robo's like, dude, what the fuck? And I was like, and the thing is, I even kind of felt bad about it, but at the end of the day, I didn't feel that bad about it because I still did it anyway. But I felt that it needed to be shared because I feel like too often we encounter people like this and don't know how to deal with them, or like we let them like say what they say and don't like clap back. And I was like, dude, to be fair, he caught me on a very like specific day. So like under normal circumstances, I probably wouldn't have been that aggro on dude. But like just the stuff he was saying was so out of pocket to me and just so weird that I was like, no, I have to fight you on this. I was like, I'm not gonna let this go. Like, I'm not gonna let you. Like, I was like, first off, anyone, because this is the other reason too. I told people to come watch a stream. Granted, not very many people did, but at the end of the day, I told people to come see that shit, and I didn't want people to see me just sitting here letting this dude say all kind of wild bullshit, and right. And then I don't challenge this motherfucker. I was like, no. I said, on my honor, on my principles, I got to fight you. Like I'm not gonna let you sit up here and talk bad about Calvin Ellis and let you sit up here and then glaze up Blue Marvel in the same breath. I'm sorry, they're the same character. You can't convince me otherwise.
It was
like, they're the
crazy.
same
It's like
fucking
she was
dude.
saying, I'm slowly seeing. Again, the whole time I'm watching her face, and I'm seeing like slowly. I'm like, the Kill Bill siren goes off. I'm like, this nigga is about to.
Yeah.
I didn't expect you to fucking to turn up on him as much as you did. But again, from a fan perspective, I was like, this shit is cinema. This shit is absolute cinema.
It was wild because, bruh, man, like. I tell you, there's one reason why I felt a little bit bad about it. There's only one reason I felt a little bit bad about it was because I could tell when I was talking to him that he wasn't entirely like, what's the best way to put this? I felt like his cognitive fortitude was not quite.
I get what you're trying to say.
It wasn't quite up there. So like I kind of felt like maybe like I was like I might because I actually went back and watched some of his other interviews, and while none of them were really quite as bad as the one he had with me, like I could just tell that like because I was watching one where he was interviewing some lady and he asked her like 8 questions in one question and none of them made any sense, and when she just kind of was like, wait, huh? I was like, okay, it wasn't just me. It was not just me.
I don't even think it's that. I think it's just and this is. Something that I feel like because I'm also a guild. I feel like I got to go back and see some of my earlier interviews, even back on like the podcast I was doing. I think it's just because I can tell he's a newer content creator. I think it's a new content creator aspect because you don't really know how to phrase questions or set things up to be because you're not accounting for a stream. In your mind, you're having a one-on-one conversation. But on top of that, there could have been some nerves there. Well, obviously, that nigga that watched a video, so I don't know how many nerves were there.
Right.
Because to your point in the video, I think he saw your following and was like, oh, let me see if I can get this nigga on for clout. And that's also a thing that really rubbed me the wrong way is, especially from being a content creator myself and like reaching out to people to come onto the channel, it's the whole aspect of having people on because you think you're going to get their following. And you can definitely feel that in the interaction. And that's why even with me, like I'm very adamant on like letting niggas know, like, no, I watched you before I invited you here. I don't bring people on. If I bring you onto a platform and I've not consumed a lot of your content, I make that upfront and known and I let you know what part of your content made me intrigued to bring you on because I want to have a dialogue about something. People like this is a norm that I'm noticing a lot more, especially in the comic book landscape where it's like, they see a lick. It's like this creator shit is a lick, and if I get the right people on, I'm popping now. The spot's jumping.
And that's not how. And look, and you're talking to a guy who has had Rob from Comics Explained on my channel not once, twice, technically 3 times. Technically 3. One y'all will never see because I unlisted it because my power kept going out during the stream, and it just was not a very favorable viewing experience. But because we had like a bad storm that day. But I get along with Rob really well. And I think when his audience is aware that like, yeah, we were cool, that doesn't translate to anything. Yes, do some of his followers come to me? The real reality is that anyone who's already following Rob
who's already following
they're probably already following me. And the ones that don't follow me, there's probably a reason that they don't like me, or I won't even say they don't like me, that they just don't subscribe to me. Like there's probably something about my personality that rubs them the wrong way, and I can see that because, well, yes, Rob and I make vaguely similar. Like Rob is more of like a full breakdown guy. I am more of a commentary guy. Like so when people used to always say that, oh, you're just doing the same thing Rob's doing, I was like, no, not really. I talk about my personal feelings more than I do talk about what's going on, like personal feelings and connection to history more than I do talk about just a full breakdown of the book. But the thing is, I probably don't offer what they want. I probably don't offer any value to them in that regard because I don't just fully talk about the entire thing. I pick very specific things. I focus on that because I feel like that's where the story is. That's where the most interesting stuff is. But like, yeah, I don't expect, like, if Rob says, hey, I want to come on and holler at you on, on your channel, or you want to come holler at me on my channel, it's not gonna mean that his two something, however many, I forget exactly how many he has
like
now, but it's in the millions.
2.8 mil or something like that.
Yeah, he's like almost 3 mil, I think, by this point. It doesn't mean that I'm gonna get even so much as a quarter of that following. And here's the thing. I'm perfectly okay with that because I don't want people to follow me that are just following because so and so content creator said do it. I want people to follow me because they genuinely rock with me. And right, I don't want fake fans or people who are subbing to me out of pity. I want people coming to me because they actually genuinely rock with what I do. So it was one of those things where I felt I kind of saw the writing on the wall. Like the canary in the coal mine went off like super early, especially because the guy in question didn't even tell me what it was we were going to be talking about. Like he was very cagey. He didn't really share with me like even who like it was one of those things. I blame myself partially because I'm the type of person who, if someone asked me for something, because so many people ignored me or denied me when I was coming up, I try to be more helpful. And even in situations where it probably is not helpful to me. And this was one of those situations with this guy. And I was like, you know what? I said, fuck it. What's the worst that could happen? And sure enough, the worst happened. Now, to be fair, it was supposed to be an hour-long interview. It only ended up being 30 minutes. So actually less than 30 minutes, I think. So honestly, I think I came out the winner in that one because I got to be done and go play with my kid and like watch anime on the couch with them and eat sweet tart ropes and eat potato chips. I honestly came out good on that one. I think.
I feel like even that, like I feel like you even like dragged it on longer than what it needed to go just to cook them, and I'm like, damn.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, it was one of those things where I'm like, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not a debater. I don't even really like debating people, but I'm not gonna let people sit up and lie in my face or like sit up and like tell bullshit stories in my face. So like that's why like when he started talking to me, like he kept using very specific coded language that let me know. I was like, you have no opinions that are your own. I was like, you listen to other people, you base everything off of somebody else's opinion. You do not think for yourself.
That nigga said a black president wasn't relatable. I was like, so were you not here in 08, my nigga? Did you not see Barry? Like, how do you feel about him? Like, I don't know.
I mean,
you seem like you seem a little older, like he was in his like mid to late 30s, maybe early 40s. I'm like, you're a little too old not to.
Well, no, it was worse because then he said he didn't say that, and I was like,
that nigga was. Hold on, I got a meme in my phone that perfectly encapsulates him in that moment. And is this shit right here? I don't know how.
Oh yeah.
Hold on, let me bring this shit back some. Fucking Ben 10 with a raccoon and an Omnitrix. That's I don't know why I have that meme saved. I'll probably never get to use it, but when I do get a chance to use it in my fucking group chat, it's gonna be beautiful.
Actually, you might get to use that shit soon because Ben 10 comic is coming out.
Oh god.
and it's not a rehash. Or not, or rather, it's a reimagining, is what it is. It's not. It's not. Yeah, and it's the original creators who are doing it, so it should be interesting.
No,
yeah,
I ain't tripping then.
No. I knew it was coming because I asked one of the creators, and he kind of gave me the yes without saying yes. So I kind of had a feeling, but no. I think honestly we should all like when I saw that Mehdi Hassan Jubilee breakdown, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do the same thing. I was like, this is the opportunity to do something just like that. I'm gonna go through here line by line, and I'm gonna just kind of point out where shit was going and how I felt about what I was saying, what was happening at the time. Because I feel like people needed to see, because I feel like there are people out there that want to fight back against this type of stuff, but don't really know how to, or don't really know what to watch out for, the pitfalls and traps that people can lay for you when they're trying to do like a gotcha. Mm-hmm. And that's what this was. It was a gotcha. It was 100% a gotcha. Because I think he was really hoping that we were going to start a fight, and we did, but it wasn't. I don't think it was the fight he thought.
And I feel like
don't fight
these
with
kind of
me
videos
about comics.
these are needed, which was even crazier because I'm like, you gonna debate this nigga about comics that you haven't read and you're not ready? Like, my nigga, what are we doing?
Worse. comics that I have recently made videos about. So that shit is still fresh in my head. Like when I make a video, that shit stays in my head for a long time. It stays in my head like
after like 2 days, that shit is like niggas are like, oh my god, I'll legit like get an alert about a comment on a video. You're wrong about this. Possibly, I don't know. That was
like what you talking about
2 weeks ago, dog. I don't know.
I've slept since. Actually, you know what it is? If it's about like when it's comics that like are like new release comics, that I won't lie, I won't remember. But like if it's like a character breakdown where like I had to like do a lot of studying, a lot of research, and a lot of like poring over shit, oh, I'm gonna remember that shit. I may not remember like every accurate detail, but I'm gonna like I will have the bullet points of it, and I'll be able to recall them pretty quickly.
This is so fucking funny. But sure, man. Again, we're like literally over 2 hours now, so I'm not gonna hold you
You're good.
long at all, man. For people here, again, I guess addressing the chat again. Raider Nation, not mad at you, bro. I figured you were older.
Not at all.
He says I meant all ethnicities in general. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way. So not mad at you. I enjoy correcting for the sake of educating and whatnot. So hopefully you didn't think we were fucking running down. But again, don't say that shit around nobody else.
Yeah, we're educators. That's we weren't calling you out. We were calling you in.
Right. I can't send you to the right wing conservative side of the internet. But yeah, for again, everybody that was new, everybody from Blerd Koa, thank y'all for showing up. Some people just seems like y'all been something for a while now, and or you just new. But Sealy Unit 2000, Raider Nation. Oh my god, this chat is fucking booming right now. Infamous Mike Manhattan, all these new faces. Thank you guys so much for coming in. Again, if this is your guys' first time coming over here, I am Captain Diesel of This is Captain Diesel's Dojo. But this thing that we're doing more specifically is the Captain's Lounge, where I like to bring in amazing people like Ernie and have dialogue and conversations like these, where I get to do podcasts without doing a podcast because there's a lot of podcasts. But if you guys are interested in any more that I have to say, again, we get somebody asked about Spike stuff specifically. I do video essays and deep dives on characters that I enjoy, things that I enjoy, and this is my month. Halloween is my month, and I also do reviews on stuff. So what you guys can expect from me this upcoming month, I'm going to be reviewing a lot of pretty much any significant horror movie and even small horror movie that's coming out this month. I want to watch and review damn near that same day, if not night. I just got to figure that shit out, whatever my schedule looks like. Recently, did The Good Boy. Loved it. I think Ernie
I just saw it the other day.
She was fucking spectacular. And again, the fact that was made with 2 people blows my fucking mind. And The Bestest Boy.
And a dog that didn't know they were acting.
Literally, niggas living his best life. The Black Phone 2 will be discussed. And there is a video that I'm working very, very hard on in researching and doing that may end up being a yearly installment for me that I'm calling Horror Through the Ages, where I will be looking at a horror movie, we'll say aesthetic, or maybe like a subgenre within horror, and relating that back to how that little stint in horror was based off of the fears that people genuinely had at that moment in time. So for this video coming up, I'm doing slashers. So I'm taking a look at everything from the 70s to the 80s and what was going on in the country at that point in time. So it's going to be a little bit more educational, but something I should have fun with. And legit, this script is fucking like,
goddamn.
This shit is.
That's long. That shit long as fuck, boy.
It's gonna be one of those, but it's a passion project. So I don't expect the video to do crazy well, but I didn't expect Spike to do that well either. So we'll see how that goes. But
hey, man, sometimes YouTube be YouTubing.
Right. That's everything I have. So again, for everybody that is new to me, and thank you guys for coming in support of Ernie. And again, Ernie, I appreciate you so much, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to bring up the stuff with Buddy, because you do show up like to any and every strap. When I saw you show up to that shit, I'm like, oh, this nigga has like no content on his channel, but Ernie still pulled up out of love for it. So you inspired me to do the same thing. Hell, I think I'm still waiting on Hero Mode podcast. They hit me up about coming on at some point.
Yeah, I love Galen. Galen's cool.
Y'all, all the dope stuff.
Yeah. Also, I saw Orange Phoenix. Orange Phoenix, and I saw Orange Phoenix in the chat earlier. That's another favorite of mine out here.
Yeah, I've seen people pop up. It's just crazy. And for people asking for the link, y'all can legit just like hit the channel and the thing. But again, if you made it to this part of the video, I assume that you liked the video. So please, let's make the likes match how much you liked it. And I don't know what this hype feature is or how it operates. Or
Use it.
Hit that shit for me.
Actually,
Plug that shit for me.
Yeah, just look, just pop that motherfucker like just real quick, actually, I don't know if they do it for live streams. I still haven't figured that out yet. I'm still kind of figuring the whole thing out. But if you can do it on a live stream, then do that shit. I'm looking now just to see like if it's. I don't know if you can do it on a live stream. You can do it on like video. Yeah,
I think I have to like after like the VOD before that comes out later on. I think you can do it then.
That's what it is. Yeah. So if you watch this later, if you hit that little
if you do that, then
everything is proceeding as I have foreseen.
But yeah, appreciate y'all so much for coming out. Again, this has been Captain Diesel of Captain Diesel's Dojo, my guy Ernie of Blerd Without Fear. And remember, forever and always.
You're now watching the Captain.
And I will see you guys next time. Peace.